Los Angeles Dodgers got their parade, got their celebration, and it was everything you could ask for, and it was amazing. And we'll talk about it all. So let's get locked on Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is America's favorite sports book. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel because new customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. This is the daily podcast covering the World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers, and you can make that easier on yourself by subscribing and get notified when our episodes are ready or when we're going live on YouTube like we are here on Sunday night. If this is your first time listening or watching, welcome. My name is Vince Samperio, usually joined by Jeff Snyder, my co-host, but he's out today, so it'll just be me. Jeff and I are both lifelong Dodger fans that have covered the team for a decade now in a few different ways, writing about the team, talking about the team, covering the team, doing player interviews, all that type of stuff. And we've been doing this podcast here now for 6 seasons. So, we've talked a lot about the Dodgers. We've seen a lot of Dodgers, and, we bleed Dodger blue just like everyone else here. So, let's get started. Like it says here, the Dodgers finally got their parade, and it was, amazing. I'll go into, a few different things, the parade specifically, the celebration at Dodger Stadium, and, favorite moments. If anyone has their favorite moment, make sure to drop them in the chat, and I'll share them when I start talking about the best or favorite moment of the entire celebration. And let's get started. I'll talk personally first. So personally, I went to the parade. I had a choice, obviously, to cover as a media member for my day job, covering the parade or covering the event at Dodger Stadium. But after covering the entire postseason as media and, getting to enjoy things, but just a little bit differently, I decided that for the first parade in my lifetime for the Dodgers, I wanted to go as a fan. I wasn't able to get tickets for the celebration at the stadium, but I had said in my mind I wanted to go to the parade from the beginning because that was what I have been waiting to experience my whole life as a Dodger fan, and it was great. Overall, it was the city of Los Angeles doesn't have the greatest public transportation, but the way I got to use it for the parade was great because we hopped on the metro. We caught it in Compton, and we took it all the way to Broadway and got off there. And so I was toward the beginning of the parade, right by City Hall after that first turn. And kind of what I told people, or not what I told people, what I posted on Twitter was, basically, your parade location can be determined. Like, did Kike have a shirt on, or did Kike have a shirt off? And where I was at, Kike had a shirt on because it was just the beginning. And got to the area around 9 a.m. Parade started at 11. A lot of Dodger fans, obviously, a lot of people already there. A lot of people, brought the chairs and brought their music and brought everything else that you could imagine that people would bring to something where they're going to sit and stand for about 3-4 hours. And it was great just being in that presence of Dodger fans, which is really what the parade is. You're obviously you're there to see the players and to see, anything else you can see, but it's to be with all the other fans of the Dodgers that rooted for the same team you did, that had the same emotions that you did, that felt the same way you did when the Dodgers won, or when they were down 2-1, or when, they were down 5-0 in the game 5. Like, there was tons of Dodger fans. I don't know what the final numbers ended up being. I know for sure it was over 200,000 down in that parade route. Obviously, another 50,000 or so at Dodger Stadium. And yeah, it was just fun to be a part of. It was great to be in the sea of blue. It was great to, do the Let's Go Dodgers chants. It was great. I'm sure every section had different and special things about it. In ours, we had somebody with the little trumpet doing the da-da-da-da charge, and and the Let's Go Dodgers and the music and everything else. The Beach Balls came out, so it was a lot of fun to be there and enjoy it as a fan. Now, the actual part of the parade started a little late. Apparently, the buses got caught in traffic. Who would have thought people would catch traffic in Los Angeles? But the buses did end up getting there. And my only quip would have been to have either a couple more buses or to slow the buses down. Now, I don't know if the buses were sped up in order because they were already behind from being late, or if that was what they were going to do. I think, if it would have been like a mile or two per hour slower, that would have been cool just to, kind of get it. And if it would have had like a couple more buses, you could have spread the players out a little bit more. Basically, depending where you were at, you got, there was two sides to the bus. You got one side or the other side of players. So on the main one, I got Shohei Ohtani on my side and Jack Flaherty, and, but then Mookie Betts and some of the other guys were on the other side. So, but that's all minor things when it really comes down to it. We got to have the parade. We got to see the Dodgers on the boat. We got to see them happy. We got to see them excited. And every visual you saw was just tons and tons of Dodger fans and tons of excitement, and didn't see too much bad from it. I know there was one fan that unfortunately fell from one of the buildings in the second floor, but I think they're okay, or they're going to be okay at the very least. But yeah, it was just, I don't know. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to think about. I didn't know anything else because I've never done it. Even when the Lakers won in the past, I was either not young enough to take myself and wasn't taken, or old enough but not good enough in position with my job to be able to take time off. So it was anything you could ask for as a fan, and obviously there was a lot of different moments. And like I said, everyone's experience is going to be different. And I think that's the best part of this, whether you took the bus in, because when we got on the Metro, it was not that packed. There was a few Dodger fans at our station, and every station, as you got closer and closer to the parade, more and more Dodger fans hopped on. And it was just, like I said, especially for me who didn't get to experience fully the postseason as a fan. I get to cover it for work. The privilege of being at all the games and being on the field before the games and being in the locker room for the celebrations, all that type of stuff is fun. But you're also still kind of working. So to have something as just a fan was really what made it for me. And I'm sure everyone had their experiences, and hopefully they were all as great as mine was. And there was just a lot to get to. But the parade was, just the beginning. There was a few little fun things. Shohei had his dog. There's a video now surfacing on social media of Jack Flaherty getting Shohei to take a shot from a bottle. And, Kike, like I said, shirt on at the beginning, shirt off toward the middle. Him and Anthony Bonda, I'm sure had Dodger fans swooning over there. You had Dave Roberts had the trophy on his bus. He looked very excited. He looked very happy. And then it all culminated at Dodger Stadium, which we're going to talk about next, which was a celebration at Dodger Stadium where we got to hear from a lot of different players, and where I'm sure we all shed a tear too. So we're going to get into that. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Check out FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and get ready to tackle all the NFL action, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view the live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. So go to FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. The Raiders are off this week. I would say bet against the Raiders and you'll win your $5 bet. They got smacked by the Bengals this Sunday. So, if you find one of those, there's a lot of bad teams out there. So find one of them. Maybe put your $5 down on them to lose, and boom, you got 150 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day or your last listen. As we go live here more often than not, we are probably starting late, and we might be your last listen of the day. But if you're not able to join us live, it might be your first listen of the day. Either way, if you're listening, we appreciate you. We had a wild month of October, 29 episodes, as Jeff noted in our last episode, and we're not going to have 29 episodes this month unless the Dodgers go crazy in free agency early on, but we'll be here every Monday through Friday or through Sunday through Thursday if we go live. So make sure to check us out. Remember, you can check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network, bringing you the biggest news and stories from the sports world and the LA sports world. You can go check those out. And let's talk about the celebration at Dodger Stadium, where we got to see Dave Roberts dancing with Ice Cube as they brought Ice Cube out to perform once again. And, a couple, if you weren't watching, a couple out of context screenshots could have had you saying what just happened. But in the moment, I'm sure some beverages had been flowing, and Dave Roberts was in the moment, and I fault no one on the Dodgers for having a good time, for enjoying this for what it is, and especially Dave Roberts, who has had a lot to deal with over the time with the Dodgers, and I don't think he's on social media, but obviously there's a lot of consternation on social media about Dave Roberts, and he's had good times and bad times as Dodger manager, and there's good fans, or not good fans, but there's fans that believe in him, fans that don't believe in him. But there's not much, if anything, to say after this postseason. Obviously, winning cures all, but just the way Dave Roberts had to handle it, and the way he managed, and bullpen games, and forsaking maybe one game or two in order to be ready for the rest of the games, and it all ended up working out. And if it hadn't worked out, I'm sure we'd be having different conversations, obviously, and maybe thinking about different things. But now we don't have to. Dave Roberts should get a long-term extension this year or next year, and should remain the Dodgers manager for a while here. Comment here says, Dave Roberts twerking on Ice Cube almost ruined the moment. It was, it was funny. I think that he was into the song and was doing a part of the song, but it just happened to be at the wrong time when Ice Cube was right behind him. So he should have been off to the side a little bit. But either way, that's how things got started. Walker Buehler spoke and dropped his F-bombs that he likes to use. Kike Hernandez spoke and talked about basically how the Dodgers had figured they won the series after a guy named Joe, who used to be fat and is not fat anymore, performed. And it was, I guess, I don't know if it's ironic, but it was funny that going back, where I was at the stadium most of the time, I can't see the Jumbotron just because I'm roaming around in between innings or whatever. But I guess Fat Joe came on the Jumbotron before that fifth inning where the Dodgers ended up tying the game. So, the Fat Joe curse was real for sure, because that happened in that fifth inning. The game he performed, game 3, the Dodgers won. So, shout out Fat Joe. There was a sign out there that said, "Thank you, Fat Joe." So, appreciate that. Kike got the crowd going with that, and, didn't do his famous line after saying, "Are we live?" but did get the crowd at Dodger Stadium to say it. And then he was like, "Oh, they said it, not me." So, that was a cool moment. But yeah, it was just cool to see. I would have loved to have heard everyone talk. Like, that thing could have been 2 hours for all I would have cared. I would have loved to have heard from everyone. And we almost did hear from everyone. Everyone should have something to say, or be able to thank the fans, or whatever they want to do. Now, obviously, there's moments that get you more excited than others, or more emotional than others, and there's two for sure that stand out here, and I see one of them. One of them here from James says, "I love Kershaw's speech, all heart, Dodger for life." And so after the parade, we got on the metro back home, and so the all the celebration stuff we heard on the radio in the car driving back home, and Clayton Kershaw had me on the 110 freeway, shedding some tears as I'm driving because, yeah, he was. You could tell obviously he was emotional. You could tell he was excited, and basically this moment, while it wasn't for him specifically, in that moment it felt like it was him for specifically because everything that he's gone through, longest tenure Dodger right now. And been with the team since being drafted out of high school, winning all those personal accolades, MVP, Cy Youngs, all that type of stuff, but having varying degrees of success in the postseason. And now this time when the Dodgers win, he mentioned he didn't really have a hand in it, but it's one of those things where everyone had a hand in it in different ways. Like, there's going to be there's the list of players out there that played in, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 games for the Dodgers. But, the Dodgers won the division by a few games. The Dodgers needed innings on the mound. They needed innings in the field at certain points. And everyone participated. Clayton Kershaw is one of those guys that participated this season. Whether he, had a hand in winning multiple games, whether he had a hand in helping other players that ended up helping the Dodgers win games. Before Walker Buehler walked out there to bullpen and to prepare for maybe coming into that game 5, Clayton Kershaw hugged him and said, "I love you." And I'm not going to say that directly led to Buehler closing it out, but it's helped, or it at least gave Walker a sense of comfort, whatever it is. Like, everyone participated, but yeah, Kershaw's speech, you could see the tears streaming down his face. You could hear the emotion in his voice. He was I'm sure they couldn't hear that well because he was screaming into the mic, but it was just an encapsulation of what he deserved. And in 2020, a lot of these guys didn't get to celebrate the way they wanted to celebrate, regardless of what people say outside of on social media and everything else about the 2020 World Series, is the fact that they didn't get to celebrate the way they wanted. Kike mentioned the fact too that they didn't get to celebrate, see their families after the game and after winning and everything else. And it was a lot especially for the guys that have been here a while. Obviously the guys that have been here, it doesn't matter how long you were here. Everyone has different emotions about it, but for Kershaw, I think that was just such a perfect moment. And for him, getting to talk to the crowd giving him the love back. And then Clayton Kershaw then said Dodger for life. And then when he talked after in multiple interviews, he continued to say that, he's going to be a Dodger. And he said, I don't, this is not going to help me with leverage, but, Clayton Kershaw wants to be a Dodger. And they asked him, like, did you realize, kind of how Los Angeles had, I don't remember if it was embraced the Dodger, whatever it was. And Kershaw did say, like, I didn't realize how much I loved Los Angeles until like this moment. And that really kind of played into the Dodger for life that he started throwing out there and, wanting to be a Dodger only. And it was just, like I said, for someone that didn't get to play in the postseason, for someone that didn't get to play most of the regular season, it was just, such a perfect moment. And everything that kind of followed that was great as well. But there was another moment that got people emotional. We're going to talk about that one next and talk about anything else that happened here at the parade and the celebration. And then a little bit of news baked into the end. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Baseball's over, but there's plenty of other things going on. If you want to watch basketball, if you want to watch football, if you want to go to a concert, if you want to watch theater, whatever it is, Game Time can help you out. They're not just sports. They got concerts, they got shows, they got theater. And right now, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching thousands of tickets. Just go to Game Time, check out Game Time Picks, find your event, and boom, they'll filter out the fluff and get you ready. But Game Time Picks isn't the only thing Game Time offers. They have all-in pricing, so you don't have to worry about fees. You can just see what you're going to pay. They got seat views if you haven't been somewhere before. If you want to see what it looks like from a different vantage point, you can check that out with views from your seat. They got the lowest price guarantee, which means you'll get 110% of the difference credited to you if you find tickets cheaper in the same section and row as what you found on Game Time. And the Game Time ticket coverage, which means your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. I want to thank you for being an everydayer. If you are one, an everydayer is just someone that listens or watches every day. And, there's definitely people that be listening or watching every day here in the comments. Definitely a lot of you probably that are listening at home. And just because the postseason is over, just because the playoffs are over, just because the Dodgers are now World Series champions, doesn't mean you have to stop listening. You can become an everydayer or stay an everydayer throughout the entire offseason. We're going to have a lot to talk about still from World Series and the entire postseason run, getting ready for free agency, when Dodgers do actually make some moves or what's going to happen, the winter meetings, the award ceremonies, which happen in a couple weeks when Ohtani should get his MVP. Like, there's a lot that are going to continue to go on, so you should check it out. And remember, you can go beyond the podcast, come to Locked On Dodgers Insider at joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. Get text directly from us to keep you up to date with all that tech stuff. So make sure to go check that out. joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. All right. The other moment, when we have a comment here from DSR, my favorite moment was watching all the people of Los Angeles come together and be one big, massive, proud family. It was the best. And yeah, I do not disagree at all. That was, like I said, such an experience, such a moment. Obviously, when you go to Dodger games, it's mostly Dodger fans, and you're around 40, 50,000 Dodger fans. But, to have maybe 3-4 times that all together in one, mile stretch or whatever it was, and literally all just there because their favorite team just won the World Series. It was definitely amazing and definitely, really fun to be part of. Now, the other part here, Santiago says, Teo looks like he will be back. James mentions Teo getting emotional was awesome as well. And yeah, I definitely want to talk about Teoscar's moment because, this is a guy, like I said, going from Clayton Kershaw, who's been with the team since he was 18, who's, spent his entire adult life as a Dodger in the Dodger organization. Yeah, the moment was obviously big for him. But then, Teoscar Hernandez, a guy who signed before last season, had just as much emotion and a little bit different, obviously, in the emotions that he had. And I thought the coolest thing about his was he grabs the mic and, says thank you. And then he says he's going to speak in Spanish. And then the emotions got to him and he just kind of sat there and you could tell, he was trying to hold back the tears or gain the strength to speak without breaking down and having those tears. And, the Dodger fans recognize that moment and cheer and get it loud for him. And, Teoscar didn't even end up speaking any Spanish or saying anything in Spanish, but the coolest quote from everything at the end was just him saying, thank you for making me a world champion. And, the fans, obviously we know that we play a part of it in a outside the field way. We can cheer for the Dodgers. We all probably have some kind of superstition that we believe helps the Dodgers. I know I still do, even to this day, Dodgers won. Okay, wear the same thing, or hey, it's a clinch day. Okay, get the clinch day outfit, or whatever. Oh, I was standing in this spot when this happened. Okay, stay in that spot. Like we all feel that way, but for Teo to thank obviously Andrew Friedman and the organization for bringing him in. Obviously, the players for embracing him and kind of building that camaraderie throughout the year. And Teoscar Hernandez will forever be a Dodger now, regardless of what happens. And obviously, that will at some point this week or next week, we'll talk about Teo and should the Dodgers bring him back and what does that look like. But Teoscar Hernandez is a Dodger now and a Dodger for life. And you felt that from him. You felt that from the emotion that he displayed. And it was, again, another cool moment in a series of cool moments. But from a guy that just got here and felt that. And you could tell that from a lot of the guys that spoke. Tommy Edman literally just got here a few months ago. And, he thanked the guys for making it seamless. Thanked the fans. You had Blake Trinan, who's been with the team for a few years now, but, obviously gone through some injuries and had some different, issues in terms of health for him. And, he said he's not one to speak much, so he passed it on to Daniel Hudson. Daniel Hudson, who's also a guy that's in his career has gone through a lot of injuries and, came back on a minor league deal with Dodgers, like you said, for this moment, for being, a World Series champion, for getting to have a parade and for getting to speak in front, of all these fans at Dodger Stadium. And, he said it like, if you were on this stage, like you're a world champion. If you're in this stadium, you're a world champion. If you bleed blue, you're a world champion. And I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of these guys kind of mentioned. And, why they wanted the parade was for the fans. Like, obviously they want it, personally, but without fans, that there is no like parade that makes it a cool moment. So for them to give us all the love back after, the love that we show them every single day throughout the season, it's just a cool little moment between, things that don't happen very often between players and fans, which is, it's over. We're done. We're champs. We're all the same. We all feel the same right now, which is happiness. And, that doesn't happen very often. There's 29 other teams that didn't get to experience happiness at the end of their season. They might have been, some teams might be on the rise and be like, okay, yeah, like, there's teams like the Tigers who maybe weren't expected to make the playoffs, And yeah, even though they lost, they're like, okay, no, there's something to build on, but this is true happiness that the Dodgers ended on. And, it was very cool to see that, Mookie Betts had a cool moment saying, he's got 2 in LA now, put his hands up, with the other World Series rings and said like he's trying to fill his hand up. And, Mookie Betts is still around for a long time. And it's not out of the blue or not out of the realm of possibility to think that Mookie's going to win 2 or 3 more rings with the Dodgers. And before his contract is all said and done, and probably his career is all said and done. Mookie Betts is here for a while. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Shohei Ohtani are here for a while. Freddie Freeman's still around for, a few more years. You got Will Smith around for a long time. You got a lot of different guys and some guys that won't be around or may not be around even as early as next year. But it all came together in this one moment, and, it was exciting. Shohei addressed the crowd and spoke English. Yoshinobu also spoke English, but his was a little bit shorter. He just thanked the Dodger fans. Ohtani said, thank you, Los Angeles, and, all that type of stuff. And, Jack Flaherty didn't address the crowd, but did talk to Dave Vassegh and, said that he never wants to leave. And, I don't think that's entirely up to him. But, if there's a way for the Dodgers to make it happen, like, that's a conversation we'll probably have, like I said, later this week or early next week. Into, Jack Flaherty is a free agent. Walker Buehler is a free agent. Like, we probably feel a lot differently about Walker Buehler than we definitely feel a lot different about Walker Buehler than we did 2 months ago or even a month ago. We definitely, Jack Flaherty, from what we've seen, like, the Dodgers are going to have to do a lot in order to keep pitching around. And if you can get some of these guys on some cool deals, it would be great. The one little bit of news that we did get, Austin Barnes, they picked up his option. So at the very least, he'll be around for now. You have, I think that was one other thing happened. I don't remember. But either way, and then from Clayton Kershaw, we heard the whole time that he needed surgery after the season to fix his toe and to fix that. What was going on there? Now we found out he's going to get 2 surgeries. He also needs to repair his meniscus. So maybe that was a reason that he couldn't go, but they didn't tell us. Like, the foot thing felt like something like, oh man, if he really wanted to, I feel like he could pitch through it maybe, but he didn't. And maybe the meniscus was why. We don't know why. He said he would have got surgeries a while ago, but he didn't want to be on crutches while all this stuff was happening. And, I don't blame him. None of those injuries seem to be threatening to him pitching next year, at least early on in the year. It'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with Kershaw, obviously contract wise, and just in the fact of, are you going to try to pitch him the whole season? Are you going to try to ease him in, get him in later in the year, whatever it is. Shout out Jeff, who's here in the chat. Miguel Rojas option picked up. That was the other one. So, no surprises with the Barnes and Rojas options. Obviously, that's 2 roster spots going to guys that, maybe you don't want to give those roster spots early on, but you pick up the options, they're cheap enough, and then you figure it out from there. Like, Austin Barnes is a solid backup catcher, had a little bit better offensive year this year. Didn't play at all in the postseason. Like, Will Smith was the guy behind the plate for every game, but in the Dodgers, like I said, there's a lot we're going to have to get into roster-wise. They're already, I think, got 39 out of 40 players on the 40-man. They're going to have to figure out some things. There will probably be some guys get traded. So there's a lot to be excited about for the Dodgers. Not just, like, obviously right now as a fan, but if you want to look at it 2025, like, they could be better. Like, or you could assume health can't be as bad as it was this year. And that's exciting for sure. So, it was just, to win the World Series on Wednesday, to have the parade on Friday, and then to have a weekend to just kind of sit and enjoy it. I'm sure a lot of people have bought all their Dodger World Series gear or have ordered all their World Series gear. And, there's a lot out there to get into. So it was just, it's like I said, it's been for something that doesn't like ultimately matter in the game of life, I would say, to just have this feeling from something that's a big part of everything else in your world potentially. It's been fun. I know you guys know me. I'm a big hat guy if you know me. And, I have a lot of different hats and I can wear a lot of different hats every single day. But, every day I've been wearing this Dodger hat with the World Series, patch on it. I got to go pick up my World Series champion Dodger hat with that patch. And it's just, it's such a great time to be a Dodger fan, obviously. And there was a lot that happened on the parade and in the celebration that got you excited. And, we're going to get some news here and there. And, it might not all be rainbows and sunshine the rest of the off season, but there's definitely a lot to be excited about. So that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers one of your listens of the day, whether it's your first listen, last listen, whatever it is, become an everydayer by listening and watching every day, which can be made easier by subscribing and get notified when episodes are ready or when we're going live on YouTube. And you can check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, 2 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network, bringing you the biggest news and stories from the sports world and the LA sports world. Those are available on YouTube, streaming 24/7. You will be on the podcast, come Locked On Dodgers Insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. Get text directly from us with any news, rumors, thoughts as the Dodgers offseason gets started. You can follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff's on Twitter at Snydog. I'm at Vincent91. You can send us questions or comments there. You can also send those via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or via voicemail text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you're in your car, if you're at home, text my device, play podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.